In this lab, we are going to organize Active Directory. First, we will look at the folder the Active Directory creates automatically. Then, we will create our own company structure. After that, we will create user inside the correct department. We will also look at the distinguishing name. Finally, we will test the protection from accidental deletion. By the end of this lab, our Active Directory environment will be clean and organized. We are now inside Active Directory User and Computers. This tool is also called ADUC. Admins use this tool to manage user computer groups and organizational units. On the left, we can see our domain. My domain is called lab.local. When Active Directory is installed, Microsoft creates several folders automatically. Some of these folders are containers. Example, built-in, computer, and user. The built-in container holds groups that Active Directory needs. These groups are created automatically. The user contains holds default users and group. If it's possible to create employees inside the user's containers. However, this is normally not the best way to organize a container, a company. A group policy cannot be linked directly to the default user container. This is one reason why admins create their own organizational units. The domain controller folder is different. It is an organizational unit made specifically for domain controls. We will now create our own organizational unit. An organizational unit is normally created to OU. An OU is used to organize objects inside Active Directory. These objects can be user, computer groups, or other OUs. I right-click the domain, then I select New and Organizational Unit. I name the new OU Company. The company OU will be the main folder for our organization. Notice that the protection from the accidental deletion is enabled. You will test this protection near the end of the video. Inside the company OU, I create separate departments. These departments are IT, teacher, student, administrator, and guest. Creating separate departments makes Active Directory easier to manage. It also allows us to give different settings to different users. For example, student may need stronger restriction. Teachers may need access to teachers' resources. IT employees may need administrative tools. Later, we can apply different group policy to each department. We can also delegate limited administrative permissions. For example, one administrator could reset password for one department. That administrator will not need to control over the whole domain. In a planned environment, we create the OU structure first, Then we create our users inside the correct OU. It is possible to create users in the default user container and move them later. However, creating the structure first is cleaner and more efficient. It also helps users to receive the correct policy from the beginning. The OU structure is now ready. I can create our first user. I open the ITOU, then I create a new user. A user account represents a person who needs to sign in the domain. The account stores information about that person. That can include the name, the user, the password, department, email address, and the group membership. For this user, I enter the name, the last name, and then I enter the login name. The longer the name is, the user used to sign in to a domain computer. Next, I create the first password. Active Directory also gives us several password options. We can also require the user to change the password at the next sign in. We can stop the password from expiring. We can disable the account. We can also stop the user from changing the password. In a real company, this setting should follow the company's security rules. The user is created directly inside the ITO. That means the policy linked to the ITOU can apply to this account. Next, I open the teacher's OU and I create a user named Sarah Ali. The steps are similar to the first account. The important difference is the location. Sarah is created directly inside the teacher OU. She is not placed inside the default user container. Later, teaching settings can apply to this OU. All teachers inside the OU can receive the same settings automatically. Next, I create Umar Ahmed inside the student OU again. The steps are similar. However, Omar is placed inside the student department. Later, we could apply student restrictions to the OU. For example, we could block the control panel, we could block USB storage, we could stop software installation, we could also restrict access to the local drives. Instead of changing every student account manually, one group policy could manage all students inside this OU. After creating all these accounts, we need to check our work. Inside the ITO, we can see the IT user. Inside the teacher OU, we can see Sarah Ali. Inside the student OU, we can see Umar Ahmed. Checking the user's location is important. A user inside the wrong OU may receive the wrong policy. The user may also fail to receive the setting meant for their department. Our accounts are now inside the correct location. Next, I open the properties of the IT user. Inside Attribute Editor, I find an attribute called Distinguished Name. Distinguished Name is normally shortened to DN. Distinguished Name shows the exact location for an object in Active Directory. The first sections begin with CN. CN means common name. This identifies the user. Next, we see the OU equals IT. That tells us the user inside the IT OU. After that, we see OU equals company. This tells us that the IT OU inside the company is OU. Finally, we see DC so equals lab and DC equals local. DC means domain component. Together, these two parts represent the local represent lab.local, the domain. We will now test protection from accidental deletion. I will curate a temporary OU called test delete. When the OU is created, protection from the accidental deletion is enabled. This feature helps prevent an administration from deleting an important OU by mistake. In real company, one OU may contain hundreds of users and computers. Deleting an entire department could cause serious problems. Important OU should normally remain protected. I will now try to delete the test OU. Active Directory blocks the deletion. An error appears on the screen. The message says that I do not have enough permission. This does not mean that my admin account has lost access. The deletion is blocked because the OU is protected. This is the expected result. It proves that the protection is working. Because this is only a temporary lab OU, I can remove the protection. I open the properties of the test delete, then I open the object tab. Here we can see the protect object from accidental deletion. I clear the checkbox, then I apply the change. I try to delete the OU again. This time the deletion works. In real company, this setting should only be disabled when the administrator is completely sure that your OU is no longer needed. The admin should also check that the OU does not contain important user or computers. What we have now is an organized Active Directory. We have created a company OU. Inside it, we created a separate departments of OUs. We created users directly inside the corrected department. We also viewed a destination name. Finally, we tested the protection from accidental deletion. In the next video, we will create a security group. We will learn why permission should normally be assigned to a group instead of individual users. Thank you for watching. Bye.